What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and after playing against Nightmare Geese in Guild Raid a whole lot more, I can definitely solidify that he is a total nightmare. No pun intended, but he is absolutely, at least in my opinion, way harder than frickin' Omega. I mean, it might be just because we're used to the mechanics of Omega Rugal versus Nightmare Geese, but Omega doesn't apply dot damage. Nightmare Geese does. Nightmare Geese has a freaking aura on the bottom of the screen that when you start going into Expert and Lunatic, he starts doing insane damage to you. It doesn't take long to destroy a level 50 maxed out character. It doesn't take long at all to destroy you. It is ridiculous how much damage he does. And I'm pretty sure, I can't confirm this just yet, but I think he has some kind of penetration effect where whenever he throws out his Repukin, which is the skill where he throws out those waves, I think that has some kind of penetration effect, because there were times where I would be using my hyper armor or maybe a debuff, I'm not really sure, but when I'd use my hyper armor and he would do the Repukin, I mean, I'd just trigger my hyper armor and he'd do the Repukin and then I'd freaking die. I'd take tons and tons of damage after just triggering the hyper armor. Now, I know the hyper armor, whenever he has that aura at the bottom of the screen, you won't take any damage, right? And over time, it will dissipate. That aura will dissipate. But it is an absolute nightmare, and it really becomes difficult when you reach Expert because, one, the damage that he's doing, but also the fact that you need poison damage. Now, for all of you that don't know, you can actually go into the dungeon here, and you can actually go into Spider Robot, and you can take a look at all the poison damage characters. So you can click on one of these characters. This takes a little bit of time. Yeah. The trades of KOF. We're going to go ahead and click on all, right? That way we make sure we get all the poison fighters available. If this thing ever loads, Jesus. Okay, then you want to hit on view more, and you want to go down to poison. So anyways, finally, you just want to click on poison, and now you see all of your poison damage dealers, every single one of them. Now, I can tell you that some of these characters, when you're playing an Expert, I think a good idea would be to use poison strikers. There really aren't no good poison damage dealers. I mean, Merlin's a great character. She has decreased damage received, but it's not guaranteed that she's going to do poison because the way her skill works is you just don't know what dot effect she's going to apply. I mean, she could apply burn, bleed, poison, chill, or shock. You don't know which one she's going to apply, so it's not a guarantee. So my suggestion to you, especially if you have strong strikers, is use poison strikers. I think they're going to be the best for you. Leona here actually does have dot explosion. I do know some of my guildmates, they're actually using her on the team. I mean, she does apply a lot of poison damage, and I did try a team where I used a leadership like Chrysalid, BS Chrysalid, then I used Rugal, BS Rugal, and then I'd put it in the center, and I did okay, but again, I still find that I do better with poison damage strikers. This is just my experience. A character that can actually, the best poison damage dealer as far as taking down the meter as fast as possible, at least from the testing that I've done so far, is Dancing Elizabeth. This girl actually does an insane amount of hits on her skills, and she has the increased attack buff, and the decreased damage received by 85% is actually very good, and the super armor. It helps a lot. She really does break that meter very, very fast. So if you have her, you could actually use her as one of your damage dealers. I do not know why I clicked on skill preview. Force of habit. Let's get out of here. But as a striker, she doesn't do poison damage. So if you're going to use this character, you're definitely going to have to use her on your team because, again, she doesn't offer poison damage as a striker. The best poison damage strikers, at least so far that I've seen, is Alice here. Alice is actually very good because her poison damage actually lasts for 7 seconds. It's a dot effect that lasts for 7 seconds and inflicts 26% poison damage to the target every 1 second for 7 seconds. She's an excellent striker, one of the best. And this one here does have low poison damage. But the thing about Zhang Fei here is her poison damage actually lasts for 10 seconds. So you could actually bring her in as a striker, use one character, apply a bunch of damage, switch to another character, apply a bunch of damage, right? If your awakened skills are still waiting to get off cooldown, then you could use one character with her as a poison damage striker, and then switch to the next character, and that poison damage is still going to be applied. That's a big tip. I mean, Zhang Fei, again, it's a deal poison damage equal to 6% of attack, but all you're trying to do is apply poison damage. Obviously, the more poison damage, the better. You're going to do more damage. Obviously, the higher awakened level of the character, the more CP that the character has. If you have card sets on your characters, on your strikers as well, the more CP that you're adding to your damage dealers, the more damage you're going to do in Guild Raid. But having that poison damage over a 10-second period is actually very, very good, very strong. I'm actually using her as a striker for now. I mean, you can even use Goro here. He's got the poison damage on his skill, on his second skill, which is actually really good. Deals venom damage to the target for 6 seconds. But as a striker, he doesn't offer any poison damage. Just like Leona, you could actually use him as a poison damage dealer. He does have a decreased damage received, but I mean, him and Leona, they don't have no immunity. Leona does have hyper armor from her core, so I don't know. It's really a matter of opinion on who you actually think is better. But as far as other poison damage dealing strikers, I mean, you do have Halloween Angel here that offers poison damage, but it only lasts for 5 seconds, but she is one. I mean, you're going to notice that a lot of these characters, have poison damage as strikers. Also, pretty big here. I was actually trying her out as far as a damage dealer. It really wasn't working out that well. But she does have hyper armor. That is something that's really nice about her. But she doesn't have a decreased damage received. So she could take a lot of damn damage if Geese gets a hold of her. If he stuns her, whenever he does the Raging Storm, he can do a tremendous amount of damage to this character. But she does have the poison damage as a striker. So, I mean, right now what I'm doing is I'm actually using Pretty Big. And I'm using Halloween Alice and Zhang Fei as my poison damage strikers. I mean, you could go through here. I'm not sure. I don't think she doesn't do poison damage as a striker. I really think it's going to be Pretty Big, Alice, and Zhang Fei are going to be really your best choices. And of course, Angel, she's another choice that you could use. I don't know if I think Lin does have her he deals poison damage equal to 28% of attack. So he's a very good striker as well. He does have dot explosion, so it is possible that whenever he does his striker bonus, he comes in and strikes and applies poison damage, that he could remove it because he does have poison damage explosion. He could remove it, but I mean, you could still use him as a striker. I mean, I've used strikers in the past that have explosion, and a lot of times they still work. They don't seem to be as effective as characters that don't have dot explosion, but you could still use him. I don't know about Whip here. Yeah, Whip, she don't have poisoning as a striker. And I know that Yamazaki here doesn't either, I don't believe. Yeah, he doesn't have either. I didn't think he did. So those were the best poison damage strikers that you could actually use. And as far as team-ups, guys, I mean, seriously, you just want to use the strongest characters that you have available. The SS characters are actually going to be really, really amazing for this, because they actually have... I don't know what happened there, but the SS characters actually have those immunity cores, and that's going to really help your survivability. I'm actually using the BS characters, and the reason I'm using the BS characters, and I'm not saying this is the best, okay? I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's working out for me because, one, I'm just used to playing with these characters, and two, Guinness there is a boss fighter character that does get bumped up by Chrysalid, and Guinness actually breaks the meter super, super fast. And, as far as card sets, the Serena set is definitely going to be the best, pretty much overall, because of all the extra attack, because of the PG gain. And I do notice that Geese here does seem to be able to interrupt Nightmare Geese's 3PG. I think, though, it's whenever, like, if you hit Nightmare Geese's 3PG, or maybe other characters' 3PG or 5PG, that if Nightmare Geese is in his iframe, and his iframe is whenever he's, like, kind of absorbing ki, right? He's like absorbing ki, that's when he's going into an iframe and you're not going to be able to apply any poison damage. That's something else to be aware of. Whenever you're facing this guy, if you see him doing that, don't bring in your striker. Wait till afterwards and then bring in your striker. Also, try to avoid that aura as much as possible if you don't have your hyper armor ready. Try to dodge and get out of it. So I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to try to do a run with these guys. Honestly, I probably won't do that well. This is freaking hard. Now, a little quick tidbit for you guys, at least with the team that I'm using, and maybe if you're using SS characters, is don't use your poison damage striker initially. I got poison damage strikers on every one of these characters. I won't use it on Chrysalid. Watch. Now, I use my poison damage strikers for Rugal and Ginnets. And I'm going to use my 3PG here, or not my 3PG, by default, to stall that timer. We're going to go ahead and apply a little bit more damage. Now, we're going to apply that poison. And there we go, right? So now we broke the meter and we're able to do our 3PG. If I'd have been a little bit faster, I wouldn't have got interrupted right there. So right here, we have poison applied, right? Now we're going to bring in Ginnets. And we broke the meter. And now we're just running through our skills here. This isn't a perfect run, guys. I mean, I'm just coming here off the cuff and trying to do this. And now I can run through his skills. This is why I wait to use the poison damage striker. I don't use it right away. So I applied poison damage from pretty big there. Now I'm using my 3PG, hoping that I can break that meter. I forgot to turn my... Here we go, here we go, here we go. Okay, so we got a little poison damage applied from Alice. We're going to try to stall the timer with the 3PG. Alright, here we go, come on. And see, because we have that 10-second poison applied from Zhang Fei, we're able to put out some pretty decent damage right now. And we're going to go ahead and switch because we got that aura below us. And we'll just go ahead and do our 3PG. We'll see what we get. So, I mean, I got 332 million. I don't think this is the best run by any means, but I was just coming in here off the cuff, trying to talk to you guys and talk you through what I'm doing. But, you know, you have to be careful. Again, whenever Nightmare Geese is absorbing keys like, whoa, don't use your striker. Wait till afterwards. And you see the pattern that I'm doing. I got a poison damage striker on each of my characters, right? Now, these are strong characters, and look, if you're going to be playing an expert, you're going to need strong characters. This is the way that I'm doing it so far. Over time, we might be changing up our methods. We might be doing different team-ups, different things like that. Maybe I can do a run with SS Kyo and SS Mai and try that because, you know, again, you know, SS Mai, she has that nice decreased damage recede. Kyo's got that immunity core. Iori, I don't think Iori's going to be that great because he doesn't really break the meter that fast. But, I mean, if you got that 10 seconds of poison from Zhang Fei, then maybe you could do well. I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, it's a decent run, right? And I know a lot of you, you're probably not even at expert. You're probably having a lot of trouble. So let's see what my buddy used here. So see right here. My buddy here, he used SS Kyo with Geese and Athena and used all poison damage strikers, just like I did, used all poison damage strikers, and he actually got 408 million. And that doesn't really surprise me because Keo is actually insane. It does surprise me that Athena's on there, but maybe that just shows you that maybe we undervalue Athena a little bit. Freaking insane. But Athena's 3PG will not get interrupted. But then again, neither will SS Mize. I mean, it's going to come down to the fact, you know, of having really strong characters for this. I mean, and the reward for playing in this game mode is to be able to get, you know, double attack shock stones, right? And that's pretty cool, right? You can get double attack shock stones and then the usual typical rewards from this game mode. And that's nice, right? So now we can get actual shock stones. There is a problem though, beyond this. I'll talk about it in another video. But hopefully this will help some of you out there. I mean, I really think you're just going to want to use poison damage strikers because the characters themselves, I mean, other than, I'd say, Leona and Dancing Elizabeth, they're really not strong enough to do enough damage to Rugal to break the meter down. Dancing Elizabeth can put in some work for sure, guys. Like, you could definitely put her on the team. But if you're using SS characters and BS characters, she's probably not going to get buffed up by them. So that's the reason I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it, because I got a lot of synergy between all of these characters, and maybe you could have an SS team. But I mean, you can see what my buddy White here did. He just used Geese in here, and Geese doesn't get buffed up by Keo. Athena does. So I mean, you could do something like this, but so far, this is what I'm finding out, is having those strikers is going to be the best. I will make a separate video about Lunatic because it just gets more insane, more damage gets done to you. It's absolutely absurd how much power Nightmare Geese has. And I'm sure some of you would probably ask yourselves, is it even worth it to play it or not? That's completely up to you. If you need double attack stones, if you need double attack shock stones, then maybe. But if you're like me and you have a massive amount of double attack stones already stocked up because you're a veteran, you've been playing this game forever, you've been playing expert and lunatic mode for a long time against Omega Rugal, then maybe you don't. But I mean, I'm still going to play it because I still want to help out my guild to make sure that they're getting the maximum amount of imprint stones, because just because I have them doesn't mean that they have them. So let me know how y'all doing against Nightmare Geese, and I will be trying some other teams that are not SS and BS characters to see how well I can do against him. And I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. GMT plus 7 time. The link will be in the description below, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See ya.